Hey, everybody. Welcome to Conversations in Ken's Cafe. I'm your host, Ken Somerville. Today, my friends, we're going to talk about how to transform your small garden into a powerhouse. And that's what you want. You want a powerhouse. You want vibrant, healthy plants to consume for yourself, to feed your family, your children, your animals. This is all important to create this powerhouse. Hey, Talkmaster, that powerhouse that you're looking for, those vibrant, healthy plants that you're dreaming about consuming, where you pick that strawberry and you put it in your mouth, and it's just like, oh my God, it tastes so nice and sweet and fills up your senses with this wanderlust because it's just so explosive in your mouth. Those peas, those beets, those, whatever you're growing, you want that to be like blow your socks off, okay? This is not hard to do. It's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of your education, taking your garden and turning it into that powerhouse. So, how do you get that powerhouse? The foundation of all life. That's the cell division that I talk about pretty much every show. And who's in control of that cell division is the biology. So, to create that powerhouse, you need the maximum amount of biology and the diversity of biology that you can possibly get into your garden space. So, how do you do that? One of the big ones, guys, okay, is mulching. Whether you're using an organic straw, whether you're using wood chips, whether you're using coconut coir, okay, anything that's going to block the sun from getting down to your soil structure and sucking off the moisture, drying it out, is going to be helping you to get that powerhouse. Why? Because the biology that exists in that mulch layer is breaking down those organic components out of that to give to the biology in your plant to build more plant, more cells, more leaves, more stalk, more fruit. It's the workforce. Hey, Mobius, how you doing? That workforce, that's your powerhouse. That's the Army, the Navy, the Marines, like everybody coming in and helping out. Okay? That's how you create that powerhouse, is by having that workforce. And in order to have that workforce, you need, tents. You need housing. You need, everything that goes with that workforce to have that workforce work to the best of its advantage. So in the military context, well, you need the gasoline for the Jeeps. You need the Jeeps. Okay. You need ammunition. You need the guns. You need all of this stuff. In our gardens, we need all that kind of stuff too, focusing on feeding and strengthening the biology and supplying the biology with the essence, the molecules, everything that they need to build those healthy, vibrant cells. In your plant, those healthy, vibrant cells go and they create your fruit that you eat. If it's a corn, okay, you want that cob. You want that cob when you bite into it, out in the field raw. And I love to eat that because it is, if it's good corn, it's going to be sweet. It's going to melt in your mouth. You're going to go, wow, that tastes good. And your body is reacting to that taste. that sensation. And you're not going to get that without that biology building that, creating those flavonoids, that flavor that is there is a function of the biology to create the cells that release that flavor. The biology is your powerhouse. Hey, shooting the soil. It all comes together in your plant at harvest time when you're consuming those things and you're getting that sensation of wow. Okay, when you bite into that, that sweet potato, and it's a burst of vibrancy in your mouth. Your biology is reacting to all the nutrients in that corn, in that potato. It's your reaction. And if you want that reaction, you have to have a garden powerhouse. You have to have health and vitality. We started out with that mulch layer, and the biology is breaking that down, but it's living there as well. It's able to create things that aren't actually in your soil structure, referencing the biology, because in that it's giving the components necessary to create more biology. That's the thing, guys. It's all about the biology, but if the biology doesn't have a place to live, the biology can't stay there. You have to supply that material, which is your organic material, for the biology to stay and be healthy. It's like, having a bird that comes onto your property and you have, say, sunflower seeds out for that bird, and it's going to come back and it's going to feed. It's going to stay there. It's got a stable food source. Take those sunflower seeds away, they're splitting, baby. They're going to your neighbor's house. They're looking for food. It's the same with the biology in our soils. They're looking for the food. They're looking for the building blocks to make more of themselves and to make more and healthier cells for in your plant. The more leaves, the more sunlight is absorbed by those leaves, and that energy is transferred through the plant and into the soil and spreads out in the soil, supplying energy that is necessary to break down materials. See, you've got a good mix of sand, silt, clay, and organic material, and your biology is calling for magnesium, and that magnesium's in a grain of sand. But in order to mine that magnesium, you need a molecule of a particular type of acid. That acid needs to be created by biology in some form or other, in some cell or other, where that is created, transported to that sand, to that biology that's mining that magnesium. Because without that component, it can't mine the magnesium or boron or whatever your is necessary. Those acids are created through the cells of different life forms, whether that's a life form that's your plant or other biology in the soil, or even from a bird. Maybe it's a bird that has been eating and it defecates in your garden, and inside of that feces is particular molecules to make that acid. But without that bird flying by and landing in your garden and doing what it does, all of a sudden you don't have access to that particular acid that you need. Hey, Bohemian, it is an ecosystem that you're creating to be that powerhouse. If you have the entire ecosystem, all of a sudden you have all these varieties of components being created by not just the biology in our soil and the biology in our plants, but the biology in the arthropods, the little bugs running around, the birds coming in, a coyote going through your garden, a rabbit going through, a gopher. They all have different biology in their guts, just like we do. The same basic biology, but each animal is a little bit different, and it's tweaked for what they're consuming as food sources. When you have that combined together, all of a sudden your garden becomes a powerhouse. It becomes its own ecosystem. It takes things to the next level because all the building blocks are there. And with all those building blocks, you can create things that aren't actually there on the biological level. We have what's called quorum sensing. And I've spoken about this before. And simply put, enough biology gathers together, generally in like an aggregate, which is that big clump of earth stuck to your roots. That's aggregation. Or in something like biochar, where it's a stable carbon source in your soil and the biology can live in there and be protected. But when enough biology gathers together, it actually can tell itself, its community, its city, its universe, that we're missing electricians. Okay? We got to make a bunch more electricians because it's the electrician that's setting this up and doing this. And there's not enough there. And in quorum sensing, they can actually find that genetic code that exists somewhere in your soil structure and a water molecule or wherever it happens to be, and create those electricians, create those miners, create those lumberjacks, etc., to go out and mine that sand, silt, clay, the organic material, to bring those components together, to bring those molecules together to make the certain cells that animal is created from, whether that's a worm. A simple worm has how many hundreds of thousands or millions or trillions of cells, depending on the size of the worm. It's all cells. And it can all be brought together one cell at a time to build something that doesn't exist in your soil structure. Mother Nature wants her balance. She wants you to have an ecosystem in your garden, in your yard. She wants you to have that powerhouse. She wants you to taste that apple, okay, that orange, that peach, that pear, that melon. She wants this vibrancy to be available to you, to your biology, to your health and wellness. She wants that for you. We want that for our gardens. We want that health, that wellness, that vibrant life to be there. So you want to make that powerhouse. You want to have all the components you can possibly have, not just in your soil, but in the environment. You want, one or two birdhouses. You want, pollinator plants that attract pollinators. You want to put in bee balm, a plant that the bees love. Okay, you want to attract that life, because with that life comes energy. Hey, rhythms, that life, that vibrancy is going to create that powerhouse of growth and vitality, where you, the gardener, can go out, get a big smile on your face because you're watching this amazing growth. You get out there and you get that energy. You become part of that powerhouse. You fit right in because you're bringing joy and happiness. You're bringing that energetic flow that's coming out of you and going out into your garden. And those plants can recognize your energy. It's been proven now that plants have more sensory perception than us humans. We only got 5 senses. They got like 7 or 8 or something like that. Okay? They can tell you if you're wearing a yellow shirt in the garden. Okay? You better hope that they like yellow, right? But that life, that energy that surrounds those plants is a function of how healthy the plants are. The healthier the plants are, the more energy there is, the more vibrancy there is. I know that a good friend, a co-host on the OG's Power Hour, Mr. Toad, Tony, blessed guy, is amazing knowledge, etc. But when he got depressed, he went and he sat in his garden and allowed that energy from his garden to permeate into him and take him from a dark space to a light space. The garden is a place of meditation. It's a place of abundant energy if you've created that powerhouse. Now he has. He's got that life. He's got that energy in his garden. Why do people build Zen gardens? Okay? Because they want to sit there and they want to enjoy. They want to breathe in that vibrant air. Remember, every breath you take is filled with biology. It's filled with life. We want to make it filled with positive energy that's going to affect us to a higher level, to make us that much more healthy and happy and vibrant. We want to become that powerhouse too. I want to be a powerhouse. Okay? I want to be able to do all the stuff. I want to be able to laugh and dance and, jump around, do cartwheels. Oh, I'd kill myself, but I want to do cartwheels, okay? It's so enjoyable when you get out into nature and you can start to feel that energy. You can go and hug a tree. Do you know how much energy a tree has gathered into its life, into its cells? When you're talking trillions and trillions of cells, there's an abundance of energy there if it's healthy and happy. Andy Lopez and I on Wednesday nights talk about that. He's a professional arborist. He sees these things where the trees aren't healthy. They don't have that vibrant life. And he looks down at dirt instead of soil. He looks at subsoil because all the soil that was on top of it has washed away, has been removed. Okay? And he needs to start at the beginning. He feeds the tree by doing a foliar application to keep the tree half-assed healthy, basically putting the tree on intravenous. Okay, and then he starts working on the soil to try to bring that life back in, to try to bring, the mulch in, the compost in, all these components that are necessary to be able to have that as a functional growth for the trees, for your garden, for your powerhouse. Without those base components, it's pretty tough. If you're not eating, food, it's pretty tough for your cells to grow and divide and be happy, because where are those components coming from? Same with your garden. Where are those components coming from? Do you have mulch down? Do you have an abundance of organic material for the biology to break down, recycle back into the growth of your plant. If you don't, you can never have a powerhouse. If you don't have the necessary components available, then you're doing yourself and your garden 100% disservice. If you're leaving bare soil exposed to the elements, exposed to the sun, the wind, and it's drying out, the biology is going to sleep, becoming anaerobic, or not anaerobic, hydrophobic, where it's not going to grab that moisture. It's got to go to sleep because there isn't enough moisture there. You're taking out a lot of your workforce. Your workforce is going on vacation because they don't have water to live. They need that water too. Just like we're over 90% water, so is the biology. If they're drying out and not able to work, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can't have a powerhouse. It's not going to happen. You have to have and understand you need to supply living quarters for your biology. That's your organic material. That's your mulch. And if you're using compost, guys, compost is not a mulch. You want to put your compost down, then you want to put your mulch layer on top. And Moby is exactly a microclimate. When you put the compost on, you put the mulch on, that compost layer, you've created a microclimate, a much moister microclimate that the vibrant life is going to flourish in, because it doesn't have to dry out. It doesn't have to go to sleep. It can keep working. It can keep growing. It can keep making more biology to build more cells for your plant. More biology to mine the sand, silt, clay, and organic material. The more you have, the faster things grow. The more you have, the healthier things grow. Now, if you're just starting out and you're a fresh garden, you can do a soil sample. Send it in, see what that property that you're going to use for your garden is missing, so that you can front load things when you get into the actual growing season. So if your soil is deficient in, say, magnesium, you can add, a little bit of magnesium into that acreage that you're using to make sure that those components are there. That's an option. Okay. Is it 100% necessary for me as a gardener to go out and, take a soil sample in my yard? No, you don't have to do that. You can. Maybe you want to. Maybe you want to understand that little bit more about what is in your soil structure. But if you're going that far, my friends, do biological as well. See if what biology is in your soil. Remember, it's the biology that builds it all. It's the biology that's going to use that magnesium that you're spreading out into your soil. Because without it, nothing's going to happen. Excuse me. I think I better have a shot of coffee here. And like my wife, Silly Lily, in the chat is saying, it's all about the biology. The flip side of that is the biology means the components. That's your sand, silt, clay, organic material, your mulch, whether that's straw, whether that's whatever you have available to you for a mulch. That may just be, a cover crop that you're going to chop and drop. Okay, as long as the soil is covered, then the light and the wind can't take the moisture away. Your moisture is going to stay. Cover crops are a wonderful thing that you can put in around your plants. You can have it as a pre, how do I want to phrase this? A pre-life to bring vibrancy and biology back in the spring. You can plant something, like just like for us when the snow melts. Okay, we're still waiting for that, but we're getting into double-digit highs here starting tomorrow. So I should be, have the snow gone here in a little while. But as soon as that snow's gone, as soon as the frost starts coming out of the ground, I can be out there and I can be planting seeds to bring up a very quick type of a crop into my garden area. And then when I'm ready to plant my crop, my tomatoes, my lettuce, etc., I can do, a chop and drop. I can do crimping where I go and I just crimp it over so that it breaks the stalk so that that will die and that becomes a mulch layer that I can plant into, and it doesn't compete. Now, I know we had Bohemian Herbology on. She was showing her garden, and if you look at her video and her pictures where she's got different plants in the exact same area, multiple plants in that exact same area, and each one is fitting in different height wise, different style wise, different size wise. The more you can stuff in a small area, in a lot of ways, it's that much better. They support each other. A lot of plants are like a lot of humans. We're communal. We want to go out. We want to party with the neighbors. Okay? The neighbors are developing and growing a little bit different. Each plant in nature is going to grab a little bit more of, say, calcium, or this one's going to grab boron, or whatever. That plant is going to have a little bit more of one substance than the plant beside it. But it's going to share because it's living in a community. We talk a lot about caring, sharing, and community on this channel, helping each other to grow and to learn. But we never talk about that in our plant, do we? But in our garden, to be that true powerhouse of a garden, you need to combine all that life. It wants to work together. The plumbers and the electricians want to work together. They don't want to be bumping heads. They want to be helping each other to grow and nurture. The more we can look at life in this type of a mindset where we're putting in more than we're taking. If you're doing nature walks and you're going out and looking for herbs, they tell you do not take it all. Take a small percentage. Leave the plant there still alive and vibrant and healthy. Take a small amount. That's where a lot of people in our gardens, we take it all. We want it all. If you have the option, put back a little bit. You got 100 pounds of tomatoes and you're only going to use 90 pounds of tomatoes. Take that 10 pounds, put it in your compost pile. Those molecules, that nutrients that is in that tomato, the plant, the stalk, the fruit, all of it has been created using molecules that are needed for plants to grow healthy and happy. And when you take that and you give that back into your compost, you're breaking that down. It's like a human being, okay, fermenting your food, breaking it down biologically first, fermenting it. It's much easier for you to digest it That's the same with your compost. That's giving back. Remember, putting that compost out there, make sure you're covering it. Hey, Fried Piper, make sure you're covering it with that mulch layer. You don't want it to dry out. You want that life in there to be vibrant. You want to start seeing mushrooms come up, because then you know you've got mycelium. That's a higher life form. The mushroom is the fruit of the mycelium. When you're hitting that level, guys, you're starting to really rock. You're starting to get that powerhouse. I know, like up here in the farming community, when you would see somebody going from, conventional to organic, and all of a sudden they were seeing mushrooms growing. They're going, yeah, I'm there. I have these higher life forms. You need that whole life cycle, that circle of life to be there. You need the different layers of biology. You need the different layers of life forms to coexist, to come into balance. You need the birds to come in and help you clean up bugs that you may not want there. You really don't want that potato caterpillar. Oh, yeah, the sparrow comes in. Oh, yeah, I was watching them eat all those. Yeah, they're gone. I don't have to worry about that. But if you didn't have that coming in, dang, you got potato caterpillars, man, and they're eating your potatoes. You're not going to have a harvest. But yet, your neighbor that has that powerhouse, he's got all his life that exists in harmony in his garden, in his yard, that has the birds, has everything, has, all the different bugs, okay? And I use that very broadly, bugs that are needed in balance in your garden. We're gonna have some more bug guys on, some more IPM, and we're gonna start talking more about all the different varieties that are necessary to create that ecosystem, because that's what your powerhouse garden becomes. It's your ecosystem. It's your place that is going to create this abundance for your belly. Okay? You want that, but you want to focus on other bellies too, the birds, the bees, the different arthropods, the different life that's there. Because when you have that life, when you complete that ecosystem and it starts to really function, you get to see things like, wow, how did that sunflower seed get 20 feet tall? I've never seen one that's more than 10 feet. How did yours grow to 20 feet tall? Well, it was the ecosystem. It was the powerhouse in my garden that I created, because I understood that I'm growing this biology, and to grow this biology, I need to supply all this stuff. And it's not much, mulch is actually pretty easy to get your hands on. Okay? Because mulch can simply be pretty much anything. As long as there hasn't been chemicals sprayed all over it, it isn't going to kill the biology. You can pretty much use pretty much anything. Ripped up cardboard. Okay? That's carbon source. Okay? It can be treated as a mulch layer. I picked up a shredder, what a shredder, there's mulcher. Yeah. Anyway, for doing my wood, a wood chipper shredder. That's what it is. It's a combination. So I've been saving boxes for years. I keep all the boxes I get. I'm going to be running them through that shredder so that I'm creating this shredded cardboard that I can use as a mulch. How many places can you go and get cardboard boxes? You can chop them up yourself. You can rip them up. You can use them as a mulch source, as a carbon source. How many, places use that for worm bedding? Okay, they use paper, shredded paper, for worm bedding. It's a carbon source. It comes from trees. That's carbon. We all need carbon. Remember, guys, we're carbon based life forms. So is everything around us. Although biology, they need that carbon too. They're carbon based life forms. Are we supplying them carbon? Are we giving them free access to that carbon? Are we taking, a little bit of time and making it easier for them to break the molecules out of whatever we're giving them? Because particle size matters. Okay, it's easier to do a foliar spray and put calcium through the foliar spray than it is to grind up eggshells and put them in the soil structure. It takes, year, 2 year, 3 year for that to be broken down by the biology if it's a full-sized eggshell. Yet if we do something like the Korean natural farming, the water-soluble calcium, and we process it first for the biology, we're doing a fermentation. We're breaking it down. We're making it more available and easily available for the biology to use in the cells to grow your plant. Every cell that you want to create has to be created through a biological process of building the foundational cell structure. If I can give my plant a boost to have that already broken down and put into a liquid form, it is going to benefit my plant. The plant isn't going to have to put out that energy. Or I should be saying the biology doesn't have to put out that energy to break that calcium out of the soil structure, to break it out of the sand, silt, clay, and organic material. Hi, Serena. If I get compost from Home Depot, any ideas how much sifting I would need to do to get the particular compost? Serena, buy the compost, put it into a compost tumbler, let it break down for at least 30 days in your yard. You can add things to that compost like water-soluble calcium, different components that you can get from Home Depot, etc. Green sand, etc. They have, I don't know if you guys sell much for Gaia Green in the U.S. I know we have it a lot up here. There's other ones that you can look for and look for things like rock dust, green sand, these different components. Throw that in to your compost you bought, some alfalfa pellets, blood meal, bone meal, front load a little bit. Then you can shake that out. You want the bigger components to be used as a mulch on top. Okay, you don't want it to be in the structure you're growing in, because it can cause issues in the long run. A lot of the times, the difference between a potting mix and just a normal soil mix is the different components and size of particles they have in it. You can create a really good seed starting mix by using, what they would rate as something else. Okay, and there's videos online about this guy's taking, this particular mix of soil, and all you're doing is, sieving it out or sifting it out to get the different size particles out, and all of a sudden it's a perfect mix for doing, seed starts or for your indoor plants, outdoor plants, etc. If you are supplying that material, okay, that compost and you're recooking it, then you know that it's going to be good. Because I can go and buy 10 bags of compost, have it put under a microscope, and 9 of that is going to be so, one's going to be total garbage. But to get that next level, you're not generally going to buy it in a box store. You're going to find that next level compost in your own backyard because you're going to create it. Or you're going to go and find somebody like Leighton Morrison, who's been doing this for years, who is making that compost, and it's full of life. And then you're going to have good compost. And just as a side note, guys, I know I talked about worm castings, and I consume worm castings. If you're eating a carrot out of the garden, fresh carrot, and you're just wiping the dirt off and chewing, you're getting a little bit of that dirt. You're getting some worm castings in there, just to let you know. Okay, if you got worms, they're everywhere. They're going through. But having that is an amazing thing. Compost that you make yourself. If you look up Organic Alexa on Instagram, this young lady, she's an amazing. She helps put on Camp Compost down in Michigan. Her and oh gosh, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Sorry, Chandler. They do talks. They put on compost down in Michigan. He works for Wormies. He gets covered in worm castings all the time. But Organic Alexa, she literally makes shampoo and body wash out of compost. It's all biological. Remember, our skin, baby, it sucks that stuff in. So you want good compost, okay? It is going to give you an advantage from your neighbor that doesn't have any idea that your health comes from the biology, and that biology is in that compost. She's extracting that, using it on herself. It's no wonder, she looks so wonderful. She's got lush hair, beautiful skin. Ladies, there you go. The Orientals use the rice wash water the next morning to wash their faces. So they wash the rice at supper time, and then they put it out. They let it sit overnight, and they use that to wash. Now, that is one of the ways we make lactic acid bacteria. We use that rice wash water for the biological component to take and make labs. When you use that on your skin, ladies, that biology, wow, it's another level. It's another understanding. And that's how you can create a powerhouse. You can create your garden to be this wondrous place where the biology is working with each other, communicating with each other, transporting materials and molecules with each other throughout your soil system. Everything can work together. That's where Mother Nature had it planned this way. It took her millions and millions of years to create this system. We can help her, and that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to do things that can help Mother Nature by giving you guys this understanding of feeding the biology, which creates all organic life on our planet. Whether that's, in the ocean, on terra firma, in the air, everything has been put together by the biology. So feed your biology, and that's feeding your soil. That's where the foundation starts. When you're building a house, you start with that foundation, and you want to make that foundation strong. You want to make that powerhouse. You want your garden to be that amazing foundational place of life. Hey, why? You want it to exist at a different level, but you need to supply the components. If you want to drive a fancy sports car, you need to put tires on it. You need to put oil in the engine, gas in the gas tank. If you're not doing those things, then your sports car ain't going to go too far too fast, is it? You're going to be calling a tow truck and going, hey, I got no tires, man. Can you bring me some tires, buddy? Yeah, man. And some gas, too. I need that, too. The biology needs that gas. It needs those tires. Give it to the biology to break down. Give them that life that they need. Give them the moisture. Give them the different components. And don't go overboard, I guess would be the next key point I want to make. Okay. Leighton Morrison, the way he puts it is, don't be a moron. We as a species have this tendency. Okay. I put, a pound of this on and wow, look at this. Well, hey, I'll put 10 pounds on. It's going to be 10 times better. Uh-oh, you just went balance beams. Poof. You put it out of balance. We need it here. We need everything to work together. We don't need things to be too much of this or too much of that. We've been having that for decades now, and look what has happened to our life in the soil. Look at what has happened to the food we're eating, having such a small amount of nutritional value in it in comparison to what it was in 1920. You can look at those charts. My gosh, you're going to go like, what happened to my food? Hey, Stylist Birch, glad to see you. Welcome to the channel. If you can give the necessary components, the gas, the oil, the engine, the rubber tires, if you can give this stuff that is needed to your biology that exists in your garden, that creates the cells, that create the fruit that you are eating, and you're getting that nutrients in you, then your health is going to improve. I almost lost my father when I was a child. Okay. What brought him back, what made him healthy again, was food. Food as a medicine. By giving his body the components that were necessary to build healthy, vibrant cells, he became healthy. He wasn't sick anymore. And all was the food he was eating was changed. He was getting what he needed in his body for his biology to use to build healthy cells. We want our plants, we want our garden to be a powerhouse. How about you? Do you want to be a powerhouse? Then you need to give your body what it needs for you to be healthy. And that starts with that biology in your body. And then what are you feeding it? Just like we do our plants, our garden. We go, oh, well, we're short on calcium. We're short on this. We're going to add that. We're going to put that in our compost so that when I put the compost out, it's going to give that to the biology so I can take my garden to the next level. Are you doing that for yourself? What are you consuming? Like I'm not going to mulch myself. I'm not going to cover myself with straw, lay on the ground, let myself mulch. Okay. But I can do things to help my body. I can use creams and lotions that don't have chemicals in them. I can do things like that. I can actually go out and get my hands in the dirt. Oh my God. I can get my hands into compost. Think of all that biology coming in through your fingers, through your hands. Do you wear gloves in the garden? Do you wear footwear in the garden? Take your socks off. Walk through the grass. That's the energy, frequency, vibration side. And we're going to actually have somebody coming on talking about vortexes and energy and stuff like that in the near future. So you guys are going to blow your blooming minds. It's going to. How this all works together. It's that synergy that happens. It's that teacher coming into your life when you need that teacher, because they don't show up until you are able to accept what they're saying. And sometimes you're not going to accept it. You're going to go, yeah, this guy's flipping nuts. Look at the stuff he's talking about. No. That doesn't happen. That's all BS. Yeah. And then a few years down the road, you go, yeah, okay, that idiot that I thought was an idiot wasn't quite the idiot I thought he was. But the more we grow and learn, the more we understand, the more we progress, the more that we do things like putting mulch down, and all of a sudden we see a difference in our plants. When we're observant and we're getting out there and we're cleaning up our garden and we taste that tomato and geez, that tastes a lot better than last year. Huh. Wonder why. When we start having those moments of, yeah, I did this, and this, and wow, that made a real difference. When we start having those light bulb moments, like I got this sun up here, okay? I'm trying to always have a light bulb moment, okay? I'm always trying to expand my knowledge and understanding. When you have those moments, when you look out at your garden and it's you see a glow of life there, you're going to have one of those moments. You're going to do a double take. You go, oh man, what did I just do out there? But man, that looks good. The other key, guys, more roots in the soil, more plants. I mentioned it earlier. Get all those plants together, see which ones are going to fight against each other, which ones are going to be, work together in that synergistic relationship. Observe what's going on. Supply as much as you can. You want a powerhouse? You want a garden that's going to blow your neighbor's brains? In this show, I've told you what you can focus on. And it's always the same, whether it's your garden or yourself, our lakes, our streams, our oceans. It's all the same. We just want to keep adding good biology. When you start doing that in your environment, in everywhere around you, when you find ways to add that biology, whether that's, making biochar, making, bokashi balls, okay, where you're taking clay and bokashi and that biology and you're throwing that into a river system that's full of silt, and all of a sudden that silt's being eaten up by the biology and the river's flowing better. And these are things that have happened. These are documented things that this works. Why aren't we talking more about it? Well, we are on this channel. We're talking about these things that you can do to improve your garden, our planet, your life, your family's lives. This is what you need to focus on. Make sure that your biology is happy. give it the environment that it needs to live and breathe and be happy, give it the components it needs to build more biology, to build more cells. When you start focusing on growing biology and let the biology grow that plant, you're going to find you have a totally different mindset. You're going to broaden your horizons to what you can and can't do. You're going to become amazed at looking at a garden or a park, going to sit in the park and going, look at what the biology has created. Look at that rose. Every cell in that rose was created by the biology, and look at the vibrant color that is shining through. Smell that rose, draw it into your lungs, and all of a sudden you are changing. You get a silly ass grin on your face. Okay, it's like, wow, I didn't know that could smell that way. And that doesn't have to be a rose, it could be a tomato. Have you ever smelt the flower of a tomato? Have you guys ever bothered to do that? Do it. Don't just smell the roses, smell your tomatoes. Smell any bloom that's out there. Just watch you don't get stung by a bee when you're doing it. Okay? Bring life. Supply areas for all levels of life in your garden. Don't just focus on one level. Focus on all of it. But remember, the foundation of it all is the soil biology. And if you want to have that powerhouse, you have to have that. Because without that foundation, nothing's going to stand on top. That's what we're finding on farmlands globally, is there's nothing there. There's no foundation anymore. They have to feed chemicals or else they have no crops. We need to bring it back to the plains, 20-foot deep soil structure, 20 feet of topsoil, the good stuff. It's down to almost nothing now. We want to go back. I want to go back to 20 feet deep. I want to go back to health and vibrant life for myself, for my family, for you guys, for my entire species, for all species on this planet, because we all are built by the biology. We're all living here, and we can help each other. We can help the biology come together and produce amazing things. Now, Silly Lily's down here. She wants me to say something. What?
Serena has a question. She's asked it several times.
Serena has a question, and I'm sorry, Serena, I haven't been paying attention very much here. How much green sand blood meal I should apply at per 40-pound bag? I didn't have any alfalfa pellets, but I have azomite and triple super phosphate on a 40-pound bag. I'm just trying to remember what the formula was that I got from the Rev. I think it was, and it's depending on the substance. I would go, no more than a cup. Okay. So not a lot in 40 pounds of soil. Okay. That's the thing about don't be a moron. Okay. Put, a small cup or a half a cup. Sprinkle it in. And while you're composting, make sure that compost stays at around that 70% moisture content. So, Serena, you can reach out, you can grab it, squeeze it, and you get a few little dribbles running down. Okay, that's at 70% moisture. You want to stay in that area. So add a little bit. And like I have a compost tumbler, and I want to make sure I'm tumbling that every day. Okay. Not, put my compost out and I flip it in a couple of weeks or when it gets to this or that. No, I want to be not allowing it to go over 120 degrees. So I want to make sure it's moist, and I want to rotate it every day. Now, you can take that, 40-pound bag, have a little tarp, throw it out, mix it all in. Just use your tarp to move it back and forth so you're mixing it up every day. But you want to keep it at that lower temperature. You want the higher life forms, which will cook off at more than 120 degrees. You want to keep that life. You want to proliferate that life. Allow that green sand, that azomite, etc., to be used up, to be broken down and made into smaller particles, broken apart to be able to be used. So I hope, Serena, I hope that answered your question. There's lots of different soil mixes that are you can do, but I wouldn't go more than I would say let's go half a cup, because you can do this long term. And remember that a lot of the times it's parts per billion that are necessary in that cell. It may be, 3 parts per billion of, say, boron. Okay. So you don't add a lot. It's like when I learned how to use cannabis as a medicine, I started out low and slow. I started out just a little bit more, until I started having an effect. Okay. To not just the pain was gone, but I was having other effects. And then I went, okay, that's my upper limit. Let me back it down. Let's see where I can have the pain relief, the muscle relaxant relief, but without anything that is too much. Okay. I like to not have power surges called hot flashes. Okay. But your body gets all hot. You're all of a sudden you're sweating. You're going, oh, wow. I don't want that. So I make sure that I don't go to that extreme. So do that in your garden, small increments. So, that half a cup of azomite, that half a cup of whatever, low and slow, you'll get much better results, because you're not throwing things out of balance. You're helping to maintain that balance. Guys, it's been a wonderful hour with you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm having more people reaching out to be guests. Thank you guys for helping with that. I know that there are a lot of you guys that are, IG fanatics that are reaching out to people on IG, people that watch other YouTube channels that are reaching out to those hosts and sending them my way. I appreciate that so much. It really, really helps the channel. You guys are the best. You guys are the caring, sharing, and community that comes, listens to me, learns, and shares back. Become that one lit candle can light many without ever diminishing its own light. Become that lit candle, guys. Become a defender of the biology. Join the channel. It's, $4.99 Canadian. So for you guys in the States, that's really cheap. But help out the channel. The more we work together, the better off we are. Anyway, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. I got a whole bunch of guests coming up next week. But yeah, I'll let you know later on today what tomorrow's show is going to be about. But I will see you there, same time. Peace out, guys. Wonderful day.